Welcome to another episode of You the Mom. I'm Janice, founder of Mommy Mundo, and this month we've been touching on topics related to wellness. So, all about physical health, fitness, mental health, mindfulness, and intentional living, and the like. So, our guest today is a old friend, one of our pioneer mompreneurs in our Expo Mom events in Mommy Mundo. So I've known her for more than 10 years, so maybe around 12 years. But she moved to El Nido, Palawan, and has been on and off social media. So I just found out that she's now a mom of four, because the last time I saw her, she was a mom of two plus pregnant. And now she's a mom of four. So it's such a happy surprise to reconnect with her here. And ever since I knew her, she was really like the epitome of a mom who made intentional choices for herself. So sometimes not very conventional choices, but she was really someone who knew what she wanted for herself and for her family. And I admired her for that. And now more than ever, it's something that we're all faced with, being intentional with our time, with the things that we purchase, things we put on our plate and into our mouths and into our bodies, and even the way we consume information and all that. So I felt that she was the perfect person to invite for. But it's all welcome, my friend Monica Manzano. Hello, Mon.
Hi, thanks for having me, Janice. So good to see you after so long. I'm back.
Thanks, Mon. So you haven't changed a bit. So
You too.
in fact, you're glowing literally and figuratively. But it's so good to see you. I remember the early years of Expo Mom, the very first one actually. You trusted us enough to join the event, you and Denise, for Indigo Baby. And you were both baby wearing your boys. Do you remember? You were
Yeah, 12 years
ingressing.
ago, because now
Yes.
they're 14 years old. So
Yeah.
teens.
You had them in slings while you were ingressing your booth.
Not just slings. I had a bouncy ball. Do you remember that? I'd
You
take it
did have a
everywhere
bouncy ball.
because I
Yes.
had a very high need child.
Yes, I
I had to
remember.
bounce to sleep and breastfeed. So yeah, I had that bouncy ball. It made my life easier, even though it looked more complicated.
Yeah,
And
so
so
while
what
you were talking to customers or fellow moms and showing them how to use your products, you were on your bouncy ball. I remember that.
I would multitask. I would breastfeed. So
Yeah.
it's the best. It's really the best because you embody and you really use your own products. So Denise and
Yes.
we talked about it. We continuously up to today. We don't sell our products. We use and sell out. We use the products and we really sell our lives, our lifestyle, because
It's
we
true.
practice it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you used to call yourselves the Yummy Mummies until now, Yummy Mummies, and I think you guys really were super authentic about branding, about your story. And as you said, the products that you used for yourself and you made for yourself, what you also shared with our fellow moms. So thank you for being part of Mommy Mundo, because together we really were able to communicate that mompreneur lifestyle. Remember that back then wasn't really something people even recognized, that you can really be a present mom to your kids while also running a business and following your passion.
Yeah.
So now, well, now I don't want to go straight to now, because after those years, you just kept following your heart. Like you went into yoga, became a yogi, right? And then you started doing flow with Denise as well. So tell us about those years first.
Yeah.
Those years that you were really following your creative spirit.
As individual, as mothers, there's constant evolution as your child also grows with you. We also have our own needs, our own creative forces to be unleashed. So I love my children, but I also feel like I have offerings for humanity. I feel like there is this need, and like like you told me earlier, you had planned to just learn baking and knitting, but you're still here working because it makes you happy. So as moms, I feel like to be a better mom, I should have my cup full. I should do my own inner work. And how do I do this? For me, it's really through healing, and I do this by being present and mindful. And one of the tools that I really helped me all throughout my life in existence for almost 40 years is yoga. So I got into yoga, and then we started offering yoga retreats with my partners way back in 2009. So again, this happened so sunod-sunod siya because immediately after my yoga teacher training, we already started Flow. So up to now, Flow is in existence, offering workshops and events online. And then I moved to Palawan, Puerto Princesa, when my son was only 2. We only stayed there for about 2 years. And then we had to move back to the city because it's all about sustainability.
Is it
Like
that long
people,
ago that he was just
yeah,
2?
he was 2.
Wow.
Yeah. And we only stayed there for a year, up to
I
2
remember
years.
that. Yeah.
But we jumped the gun. It was really not such a right decision because we were in our 20s. We didn't have enough savings. There wasn't really work opportunities back then, especially in Puerto Princesa. We even built a house an hour away out in the boonies in the middle of nowhere. So it was like too early to retire, says my in-laws. And, there's truth to that. But we learned our lessons and we brought it with us when we finally moved here 4.5 years ago,
Yeah.
way before, the pandemic hit. So everyone's saying, you're way ahead of everyone. Everyone wants to leave the city now and be within nature because it's what helps, people survive. You really need to have this connection with the earth. And that's where I think we're all going to go eventually when,
True.
when shit hits the, sorry for saying that here, but that's, we're pushed to really review our choices, like you said, no?
Yeah.
So now
So
that I
once
am,
the decision to move out of the city was really the intention to connect back to nature, or was there any
well,
other reason?
my husband and I were both beach bum for him because me, I'm more extroverted. So like I would still see my friends every weekend. But we got tired of the mall culture really fast.
Yeah.
Spending like the whole day in the mall and walking aimlessly like zombies. And I
Yeah.
felt like there's so much more to life that I could give my children. Like I wanted my son back then, to really thrive in nature. And up to this day, I'm really thankful and grateful that we are aligned because it's different when you want something and you're not aligned with your partner. That's a whole different story right there, right?
Yes.
So we're aligned at least in our family values. So I'm happy that I'm able to give my children this environment where they can really truly thrive. For the first 7 years of their life, all they need to know is the world is good. I come from a background in Waldorf education. So I did my teacher training in early childhood education before moving here because I put up Casa
Yes.
Muni Muni. So it's
Yes.
a little Waldorf inspired community. So I work with families here with young children. And we really want to extend the womb, the nourishing that nature provides so generously. Actually, you don't need to do much as long as you have access to nature because nature is your curriculum and also your children. You're just a guide, really, because
Yeah.
you don't need to teach them anything, really, because I have a 4-year-old daughter, so she's 4.5 now. She turns 5 in June. She can identify all these medicinal plants and herbs and
Wow.
flowers, and she even teaches my husband. So we're just so
Wow.
mind blown because this is just constant exposure to our nature walks. And
Yeah.
she's just this, and she loves bugs. She's our little bug lover. So unlike, other kids, mostly, raised in big cities, bawal, diba? Usually we grew up now, we can't get
Yeah.
dirty, right? But now,
Yes.
2020, it's changing. Like the microbiome is actually it is what will indicate our health, how
Yeah.
exposed you are. to different kinds of viruses and bacteria. And we are a walking bag of viruses, actually.
Yeah,
So it's
true.
really how healthy our microbiome is. And it really all starts in birth. So that's why I'm also a big advocacy
Yeah.
on gentle birth. Out of the 4 kids, I birthed 3 of them at home in water. And
I
2 of
know.
my,
So out of 3, who
out of 4,
out of
only
4?
Sandy was born C-section in the
Oh, it was
hospital.
Santi CS. Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
after that,
because
that's when you did the shift to natural
yes, I
birthing.
shifted. Yeah, after that, I was like, never again. I found that experience was really traumatizing for me. I know it's not for all
Yeah.
moms, but for myself, I felt violated, traumatized. So I chose the other end of the spectrum, and it worked for me.
Yeah.
And ever since then, ever since Maya's birth, 7.5 years ago, I've been advocating and guiding and assisting mothers in gentle birth choices. So I worked with my doula, Irina
Yeah,
Otmakova.
Irina. We had Irina here
She's
around 3
lovely,
episodes ago. Yeah.
amazing. So she's with Birthing Gently on Instagram. And now I'm currently working with my midwife, who's also my neighbor. She's actually German, but acts really Spanish. She's so cute. And she's been living in the island of Palawan for 7 years now. So she was my midwife,
Wow.
but I birthed in a free birth setting. So she wasn't here actually because I birthed alone with my family for my last child. But we work together to help moms transition gently to a more gentle birth.
Gentle birth.
So this course is different from all other courses because it's heavy on healing mother wounds. It's really trying to have breakthroughs or break patterns that will sabotage your ideal birth
Yeah.
scenario, because it's
Because of
really it's
your
not,
ancestral path.
or probably like your
Or the way you were also delivered.
paradigm, the
Mm,
way you were delivered, the
yeah.
way you were raised, all the things that
Yeah.
you were exposed to or programmed on
Yeah.
by media, by movies. So it's
Yes.
really coming back to this zero space of
Yeah.
potentiality that anything can happen. So she's a theta healer, and the
Yes.
mind is so powerful that you can
That's right.
reprogram yourself no
Yes. Yeah.
matter
I
what
believe
your
that too.
past is, that you can
Yeah.
change your current reality. And so this is the way we approach birth, because birthing can
Mm.
also be anything. It need not be a
So
child.
how is that done, Mon? So preparing a woman for birth, there's
Yes.
a journey that she goes through
So
besides the physical.
yeah,
So you
because
prepare her.
actually, how we prepare for our wedding day 1 year before. Now it's like
Mm.
2-3 years before because everyone's booked.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for the day of your birth, if you want to birth like the most gentle, radical, close to nature way, so you really need to prepare for it. You need to do like a
Mm.
lot of therapy. You know how we see a priest with
Yeah.
your husband before getting married? So it's the
Yes.
same
Yes.
thing with birthing. You need to unpack a lot of trauma because
Yeah.
suddenly we even have fit moms who can't birth vaginally. And you ask why?
The
Biologically
blockages are because
speaking,
of
yeah, because of tension,
yeah.
stress,
Yes. Or
fears,
energy blocks.
deep-seated
Yeah.
fears.
Fears. Yeah.
So
I get
we
that.
really have to look into why and go to your core issues. And this is what we offer
Wow.
in our current online birth preparation course, which of course I have
Wow.
help prepared with yoga, breath work, energy medicine, and she does all of the midwifery wisdom also and healing. So there's
What do you
inner
call your
dance.
program, Mons?
It's just a birth preparation course online. She is available on Instagram. Her name is Your Midwife Hour, and
Your
I
midwife
also
hour.
I also promote it online on my Instagram all the time. Since this is
Okay.
a huge advocacy of ours to really
Yeah.
change the world one child, one birth at a time. Because if we
Yes.
can have reverence for birth, we will honor life itself. If children come into earth side without any trauma and the first
Yes.
imprints are those of love, imagine how much
True.
diba? And it's not
Yeah.
isolation, separation, fear because you're not with your mom. You're in a different room. So
So
it's very,
Monica,
very
if a woman is planning for a normal birth,
yes.
normal meaning traditional birth in hospital,
Mm-hmm.
can she still take the course to go through the?
Yeah, because then you still have
Oh.
traumas to unpack
Yeah,
so that
because
you
I'm
can work with
thinking
it. Yeah, you can
not
still be your
everyone
breast.
can do the natural birth right now because of
Yeah.
the pandemic too. But that journey
Actually,
of
there is a
healing,
silver
yeah.
there is a silver lining to all of this because there's also an uptick on home births because people are afraid to be in the hospital. They
Ah,
don't
yes,
want to be
Irina
exposed.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, right.
So birthing is really the woman's choice because it's our,
Yeah.
it
True. I
she will
agree.
be the one experiencing all of this. So we will assist whatever the woman decides. And
Yeah.
whatever you decide, wherever you want to birth, you can still do all of these healing work and the modalities being offered
Yes.
because it will help you. No
Yeah.
matter
For
even if for a CS birth, because there are more
yeah.
mindful practices to even get the microbiome for the
Yeah.
child after a C-section.
Okay. So interesting. I totally agree with preparing for childbirth in a spiritual way. I mean, we do so much preparation physically, materially, everything. And then
Yeah.
we forget that we're about to enter a totally different stage of our lives and a lot of letting go, purging, and
Yeah.
growing has to happen in such a
Yeah.
short amount of time because you're going to be
Mhm.
responsible for another human being. So that's why I asked that question, that if that was available for more moms who are not just the ones going to have natural births, that would be so great. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that. But in that little, your short cuento about your life, our mommies here or whoever's listening already has an inkling of Monica's lifestyle, which is why we have her here today, really making intentional choices. So I want to zone in on your mention of Waldorf education. I know that you've been really passionate about that. There is a lot of confusion, misconceptions about Waldorf, but
Mhm.
I love the heart of it, which is really natural, going back to basics. But you mentioned earlier about believing that your every child is born good or something like that. So can you expound and tell us more about Waldorf? What makes you so passionate about it? What we can learn
Mhm.
from the principles that Waldorf teaches children and the families that are in the system.
All right. So Waldorf, the reason why I'm so drawn to Waldorf education and the philosophies behind Rudolf Steiner is because the child is revered for um, really more than the physical attributes. Because most people in today's mainstream society thinks that a child is an empty canvas and you have to fill in a child with as much
Mm.
information as possible as early as possible. So Waldorf really has reverence and really looks into nature, wherein we never rush things, and there are certain developments that we must respect in a child. So for the first 7 years, so from 0 to 7, all we need to do for our children is to show them that the world is good. Okay, and in Waldorf pedagogy, and if you follow Waldorf curriculum, it's the
Yeah.
goodness, it's doing domestic chores and really enveloping and extending the womb space to a child. So there's nothing too abrupt, too harsh, and so we
Yeah.
flow with the rhythm of nature, and everything has a time, a season, a rhyme, purpose. That's why there's a lot of festivals. We celebrate a lot of festivals, ceremonies, and rituals because this celebrates and teaches them the passage of time. Because
Mm.
time and the ABCs, it's too abstract for a child to understand. But if we live it, and they will
Yeah.
embrace
Could
it
you give
and
us
they
an
will
example of a
embody.
ritual that you've done?
Well, so for Michaelmas, end of September, right? It's starting to when we look at the outside, it's starting to become dark.
Yes.
There's
So longer
more
nights.
longer nights than days, the time,
Yes.
the hours of the day, and we really feel it also in our bodies because we cannot separate ourselves from nature and our surrounding and our environment. Some people will have SAD, seasonal disorder, wherein they feel more mentally sluggish and they're affected because
Yes.
there's less sunlight, and this is a
I
real
feel that
thing.
during winter.
It's a real thing. So you know what Michael Mas celebrates, and you can also localize this because actually in a Waldorf school they encourage localizing and speaking in the local tongue. So magtatagalog tayo kasi nasa
Yeah.
Pilipinas tayo, diba? So we will talk about stories of dragons, of Michael defeating the dragon, because we have to really work hard to defeat the demons that are in us. We all have our inner demons, right? So children
Yeah.
live in pictures and stories. So really, for the first 7 years, the way that we learn in my family is through a lot of chores, singing, stories, arts and crafts. Nothing to like um, we don't do ABCs, or we don't do like it's funny because this is how we were taught. And as a
Yeah.
mom, I had to do a lot of unlearning. When I did
Yes.
my teacher training in Waldorf education, it was like my yoga teacher training. I was crying. I was really feeling it because it's really
Yeah.
education for the hands, heart, and mind. And when I went to a Waldorf school, so my son was part of a Waldorf school when we lived in Manila, when we went back in between Puerto and my life here in El Nido. And every celebration, it really touches your soul because it's a community and a school for the soul. So imagine how deep that can go. Because now we're only teaching children and we're only thinking about very shallow things. And and I feel like, you know, not I know that Waldorf education is not for everyone, but for
Mm.
people like me, that there's deeper meanings to life, that we're only scratching the surface of our life here on earth. Imagine
Yeah.
we're only operating on how many percent of our brain? 10, even less,
Yeah.
right? Einstein only operated what, 13%. So there's much more that we don't see. So
Right.
in Kabbalah, they say that we only live in 1% reality. So there's 99% that we are not seeing
Conscious
because the
of. Yeah.
senses can only perceive about 10% of reality, right? So there's
Mhm.
much more. And so now, actually, my approach now is more unschooling because as my
Yes.
children start to question, and I'm not a purist Waldorf mom because we
Yeah.
can't do this, no.
Unschooling
When
has
I have
been more like I've been seeing it a lot online, and there's a lot of curiosity about it. So tell us more about what unschooling really is.
So it's funny because like people think it's like, how can you do both? Because unschoolers
Yeah.
usually they're perceived as parents who just let their kids do anything.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. I'm actually part of an unschooling group where the community is very intentional also, and we're an international community. It's really being there for your child when they need you to guide them into, whatever life throws at them. It's different when the children learn things for themselves or have aha moments and are able to teach
Right.
them, and then you just confirming it for them. Then
Yeah.
they reclaim this power to be, oh, my curiosity leads me to answers. So I
Right.
like the unschooling approach because it's so free. Freedom is the main principle. And I like to give my children freedom because then they don't feel suffocated, or then they don't feel
Yeah.
like they have to learn this way, and if I don't do this then my teacher or my mom or whoever will be upset. We're coming into the time we're in, we have to break down all systems. I feel in education, in finance, in governance, everywhere.
Agree.
We have to start relearning things for a new world because we live in
Yeah.
a time that has never been, this
Yeah. It's never happened before.
it's a fast
Yeah.
evolving world and we gotta roll with it. So for me, the unschooling approach has a lot to do with the parents deschooling. It's us trying to empty all the things that we were programmed as children
Yeah.
and see how education can really be um, a life school. So I like how I consider our lives as our school. So
Yeah.
if we are out in nature, nature just provides everything. My child will suddenly be curious about this weed that she found, and she brings home flowers and leaves from her nature walks and gives me as presents. She asks me, "What is this, mom?" So we will research. It's because
Yeah.
it's there, it's given. So you can start to research about this, and it's not following a strict curriculum.
Yeah.
So unschooling basically is not following a strict curriculum. And I
Yes.
like it's because it's more inclusive to all because it's ultimate freedom to the child. Although I am very still much Waldorf in the sense that I am not with, I don't throw the towel in terms of technology. My kids they don't have
Mm.
iPads, they don't have iPhones because
Yeah.
I still feel that as parents, we should be stewards of
Yeah.
something so potent and so powerful.
So what's
The
what can you
internet
explain that
is
part? Like because I know Waldorf education, they delay the use of
basically the use
gadgets.
of gadgets until the
Yeah.
child has certain capacities in the brain because
Yeah.
the child is a complete sense organ. So they will absorb everything and they don't have filters in the sense that they're overstimulated. So you see a lot
Mm.
of babies because they're brought to the malls, no? And
Yes.
there's nothing that'll cover their eyes from the bright lights. And this is so far from what nature intended for us to be, in constant bright lights and loud
Stimulation.
sounds. It's
Sound.
constant
Yeah.
stimulation for a child. So we really have to go back to watch how nature was and is. If you're away, if you're not like me, I'm surrounded by, my house right now is three-fourths jungle. It's easy for me to be in sync with nature. I just have to turn off my phone and I won't suffer from insomnia or overthinking because I get my sunlight all day. And then at night, come
Yeah.
nighttime, I'll just sleep. But now, obviously, people work online all the time. So they have to wear these blue
Yeah.
blockers now
Yes.
to
Right.
block. And you really have to take an extra effort. And you have to do this for your children too, to step out into nature. Bawal pa, lockdown. So you
Yeah.
have
True.
to really find ways. So my friend Lila told me, oh, but you can drive around with your child in the car, open the window,
Yeah.
maybe sneak in and just let them ground on sand or
Yeah.
soil,
Right.
diba? Not pavement.
Yeah.
So there are ways that you
Yeah.
can still
So,
achieve
so
this.
Monica, with unschooling, if you see there's no curriculum, how
Hmm.
do you still try to reach certain milestones in terms of, for example, math, like basic addition, or you also use nature to teach that? Or do you ever, like, for example,
Janice.
for Santi, do you reach a
Yeah.
certain point, or you just also allow it to come when he's ready?
Yes, it's really risk because
Yeah.
everyone is different. So you cannot have a
Yeah.
yardstick and compare your child to everyone
Yeah.
else. Okay. So my daughter, she is 7. She's teaching herself how to read. Of course, she'll ask me
Mhm. Yeah.
questions and I won't, deny her that. I
Yeah.
will answer her questions, but now she's reading. And guess what? I didn't have to teach it to her how we were taught in school. So
Yeah.
these developmental milestones it's innate in our children. We don't have
Yeah.
to sweat. Like a lot of moms are so stressed because now they're homeschooling
Yeah.
their children. But
Yes.
you're still following like um you're still and then you're also affecting your relationship because suddenly you're putting on a teacher's hat, and a child
Yeah.
usually will want to defy you. So it's
Yeah.
hard, right?
And I actually
But
also agree that there's the curriculum in school. Sometimes the children, because children are every child's different. Like with me, just my three kids, different. One is good at this one is good. They all have their individual gifts, strengths, and well, it's all strengths, but some are stronger than others, right? The gifts.
yeah.
So I always like when I moved here, I also saw that wow, in Asia, everything's so rigid, right? So you
Mm,
have to finish preschool this time, then finish grade school, then middle school, then like you have to be in college by this time and graduate by this time.
mhm.
So, and with my second son, I just said I wanted him to be free to take to find the course that he wants to take.
Yeah.
So I just said, it doesn't matter to me if it takes you 10 years to finish college, as long as it's something that you're passionate about and it's something you really want to engage in and learn. And thankfully, he found it after 5 years of college, right? So
Yeah.
it's being flexible also so that at least, as you said, it's a learning opportunity when they're ready for it. So I guess mine is in a more farther away level as opposed to
Yeah.
your daughter's your daughter's weeds.
This is Nila. She's
Hello.
my third. And this is Maya. She's my second. They're my
Hi
girls.
guys.
They just came from the beach. They
Say
swam.
hello.
Hi. Say hi. Yeah. They're always popping in when I do my IG
Oh,
lives.
nice to have
But
you
that's my
here.
life. So in
I
unschooling,
remember.
kasi, like how for us when we're engaged in something, how do we learn how to suddenly we have the urge to learn how to do bread? So we'll research online,
Yeah.
right? And then we'll ask people, we'll ask friends who are currently baking sourdough bread. So it's the same
Yes.
thing for our children. And we're just there to really help
Yeah.
facilitate their learning for them.
Yes.
So I say that I do unschooling with a Waldorf flair because I still, follow certain rhythm, and we're still
Yeah.
pretty low tech when it comes to kids, because as much as possible, I will rely first. My principle is on nature. That's why we do wild schooling Wednesdays in
Oh, wild
Casamanian.
schooling. So
Smart
wild
life.
schooling is bringing them out to nature.
Yes, and I feel that you know who needs it most? The kids in the cities. Well, we
Yeah.
still do it here because we get together with the community. It's not actually the kids that need it; it's the adults
I
to sink
agree.
back, and to just ground and center our. So we do it on a hump day to
Yeah.
center our energy so that we can push through with the rest of the week.
Yeah. And it's also because nature is all energy, right? So
Yeah,
grounding, there's energy in nature. So when we
yeah.
ground, we absorb the energy, right?
Yeah, and not just that, our breath. Notice that if
Yeah.
you're, constantly online or working or exposed to other people, you can't
Yeah.
help but absorb energies from
Yeah.
online or other people that may or may not be helpful to you.
Yeah.
So when you're with nature, suddenly your breath will start to deepen. It's because nature can't help but to be your to be a vessel for you, to contain you. So whatever you have, because I'm a yoga teacher, so I know
Yes.
that you have pent up energy here, you start to relax and release, and nature will absorb this extra energy from you and transform. So you can never destroy energy, right? But you can
Yeah.
transfer it and you release it out to nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
So before I ask you about our main topic, which is green living.
I know. But all of this
um,
is really coming back to nature, right?
yeah,
It's
right.
really
It's so consistent. Your life is like all consistent in your choices. So I love it. There's so much to
it,
learn from you.
it's really a life more rooted.
Yeah. So
So
what's your tip
I'm
for
slowly becoming
for
more simple minded.
yeah. So your tip for moms or for families who are back in Manila, stuck in condos and all that, what can they do?
Well, if because there's so many restrictions, travel is restricted,
Yeah.
And now that if you live in a very strict condo building, you can't even go out with your child. You still have your body, so you teach your child to go within. So this is the time wherein you can quiet the mind and shut down all electronics if you can, and have just even 5-10 minutes of your time and teach your child a simple breath work or a meditation that they can capture. They still have memories of what it was. Yung pinakawawa dito, yung pandemic babies, the ones that have never been
Yeah.
out.
Never been
What
out.
kind of generation are we raising? My
Yeah.
gosh, I'm sorry, I'm really radical, but it's really time to get creative and
Yeah.
defy anything that does not serve your highest potential. Really,
Mhm.
like what you did for your family, you left because you felt that it will do your family good. So make
Yeah.
decisions for your family that you feel will best serve you. And if it's
Yeah.
for your family's mental health to move out of the city, do that. And the universe will have your back. You will be
Yeah.
supported. A lot of people, there's this
Yeah.
fear where will I get my money? But come out of that fear paradigm and move into the
Yeah.
paradigm of potentiality.
But not everyone is
Correct.
locked down. So if you have access to greens, to a garden,
Yeah.
do your grounding every day for 10, 15 minutes. And if you don't have that, we have,
Yeah.
there's still ways to connect to nature, use natural products. So we have the mighty coconut. We live in the Philippines. So if you can
Yeah.
add more coconut produce to the food that we eat, so
Mm.
what we assimilate, what we digest, it will
Yeah.
really strengthen your immune system,
Okay.
or take care of a plant.
Yeah. Yeah. So the plantitos and the plantitas. So that's good. Actually good, no?
Yeah, super good. And
Yeah.
even if you can have pets, if you can get a
Yes.
puppy or a cat,
Ah,
this
right.
is still part of our natural world, or bugs.
Mm.
If they can take care of a swarm of ants or something. I have an ant hill inside an
Yeah.
aquarium.
Oh,
This
those
is
are great
still,
tips.
those are still, that can be a whole curriculum, right? If you can get into
Yeah.
beekeeping and honey and producing your own honey. And when you do that, you can also start growing your own flowers, and you're helping the bee colony of the world, because we're all
Yeah.
connected. So
True, true.
any small good deed that you do for the environment, for the planet, will affect us all. You,
Yeah.
you need not move your whole family out to the jungle. If you can, great.
Yeah.
If
Right.
not, start small and make the
Yeah.
transition more gentle for you.
Oh, I love those tips, Mons.
Yeah. And if I can invite
Yeah.
people, I don't
Yes,
know when we're
go.
gonna show this. I'm going to be part
Sorry.
of the Green Unconference, sponsored
Oh,
by Sky
nice.
Farms, by Carla Delgado.
Okay.
So my segment is all about birth reimagined. We're going
Okay.
to
When is that
do
gonna be?
my segment is on November 4. So it's starting, I
Okay.
think, October 31 until November. It's long, until
Oh, it's a
November
week. 1
10.
week long? Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
because they're following the schedule of the climate change week
Ah,
worldwide.
okay.
So if I can invite people to
Alright.
join the workshop, so it's really a holistic approach into um, healing from birth traumas, from our collective
Yeah.
traumas. Because
Yes.
I'll ask the question collectively, what are we birthing? So the theme for the Green
Yeah.
On Conference is transitions, because we're all in
Oh,
transition right
nice.
now.
Yeah. Where can they find that, Monica? Do they have a Facebook page or website?
There is a Instagram page, the Green On Conference.
Being on
And
conference. Okay.
my island apothecary is going to be a partner, since I'm a
Mm.
speaker I represent Isla Medicina. So I do all of these holistic
Yeah.
modalities, practices, and I'm really a firm believer of plant medicine and energy
Yeah.
medicine. So I will be representing Isla Medicina on the Green
Nice.
On Conference.
Cool. Okay, guys. So watch out for that. And also, you're going to be at Expo Mom on
Yes.
that's going to happen on the 13th and 14th November. So that's where you're going to talk more about unschooling and
Yes, I'll have a
Waldorf. Yeah.
presentation about
Yes.
our journey into
Yeah.
our very unique approach to education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. That's so I love to learn more. Because we were all in the traditional schooling system, right?
Yes.
And then before, our kids we're just gonna choose progressive or traditional. And now there's all these more conscious choices that we can do for the kids. And it takes a lot for moms and dads to be able to do it. But if we can learn from moms like you, like even me, even if my kids are already big, there's so much more that we can still do, right?
Yeah.
So thanks for
Because
that, Monica.
we
Yeah.
never stop becoming parents. Even if they're adult
Yeah.
children, they
Yeah.
still rely on us for, support and
Yes.
encouragement. And having an open mind is really the
Yes.
best,
True.
because we
Agree.
have to accept where they are and
Yes.
just support them in their choices,
That's
right?
right. That's all what we're trying to do also in Mommy Mundo, to encourage conscious parenting. Like we just don't keep the way we were raised, like the parents put in whatever the expectations are on the children. That's how we all grew up. So just trying to be more in tune with our kids, what they need and what they ready for, right? So Monica, I'm so happy you're back online. Just sharing stories and really um, you know, um mind opening things that you practice on your own that we can learn from and try for ourselves. And I
Yes.
love seeing you in your space there with your children. It's been a long time, and hearing the roosters crowing behind you is also very
So,
refreshing.
pro- so probinsya.
Yeah, I don't hear
I
that
am
here,
the
so perfect.
I am a probinsyana. All
So
right.
that's all for now. Thanks again, Monica, for spending time with us here on You the Mom. I look forward to more sessions with you as we try to really share the story of intentional living. Um, Thank you, everyone who joined us today on You the Mom. And again, here at Mommy Mundo, we believe that mom life should be celebrated and cherished, and you should be celebrated and cherished as well. So, from us to you, we say,
You the
You the Mom.
mom. Thank you, Janice.
If you